This is a brand new day. Don't leave it up to the other man or to another day. Take your life into your hands, make it work out your way. Not the number of times you stumble down and fall upon the ground. It's the number of times you pick yourself up and keep on moving on. To meet go on, everybody. Come on, everyone. The time to love is here. Let these troubles lay me down. I tell you, come on, everybody. Come on, everyone. The time to love is here. Let these troubled days be done. Welcome, folks. This is Dr. Herbert Harris, and this is your Success Thought. And today it is Success Thought number 15. Success Thought number 15. And it is called the first stage of life. And you know, all of our thoughts, all of our messages come from our book, The 12 Universal Laws of Success. It's available on Amazon. It's available on all the bookstore, what do you call it, digital bookstore formats, the Black Book Club, the Key Bookstore, you name it, it's available. Even Walmart has it. And it's available on our website, www.12uls.com. Hey, JC from Barbados, thank you so much. Kenyon, what you say, baby? Darling, good. Dalansa, thank you so much for joining us today. And this is a topic that really one of those underbelly topics. Many times we'll be on our success journey and we'll encounter things that block us, that slow us down, and we'll wonder where it's coming from. We'll have thoughts that, you know, you ever have a thought sometimes like, where'd that come from? Well, it's because within us, there are a lot of things that happen that we have to take control of. I won't say we don't have control of, but we have to take control of. And a lot of this comes about because of what we call the 4 stages of life. I'll just recite them, and then we're going to talk about the first stage, the first stage first. But the 4 stages of life, the first stage of life is really the first 20, 25 years of your life, from birth to about age 20 or 25. And that's called the stage of education and information. The second stage of life is from about 20 or 25 to 40 to 50 years old. And that's called the stage of sensation, where your emotions take control. Then we have the third stage of life, which is basically from 40 to 60, 50 to 75, that age category. And that's the power stage. That's the stage when most people come into their own and achieve their greatness. And then the 4th stage of life is the stage of immortality. We're talking 60 to 80, 75 to 100. But this is that stage of life where you really have to live up to the life that you have created. It's your legacy stage, the stage of immortality. And here, whatever you have meant to the world is established. So today we're going to really look at the first stage of life. And the first stage of life is critical because it is during this stage that you really learn the basic fundamental rules of the game of life. You learn or accept the value system. You get your basic instruction on reading, writing, and counting, logic, even decision making. During this first stage of life, you learn those basic things of how to think, how to talk, how to communicate, how to make decisions. Generally, in this education stage, you lay the foundation. You lay the foundation with the thoughts, the emotions, the habits, and the relationships that will guide you through the rest of your life. Sounds good, doesn't it? In this first stage of life, you develop your basic attitude towards yourself. Now, this is critical. How you feel about yourself, how you think about yourself, how you see yourself. You also develop an understanding and your attitude toward other people. Are they loving? Are they fearing? Are they painful? Are they uplifting? This first stage of life is critical because you learn stuff here and you don't even know you're learning it. You also develop an attitude towards the world, how you respond to the world, how the world responds to you. It is in this first stage of life that you begin to develop these emotions and these skills of like courage or fear. You develop either faith or doubt, cowardice or courage. Literally, your nature, your essence, positive or negative, thief or benefactor, is molded. So this first stage of life is critical because this is the foundation on which you build the rest of your life. And you know, the Bible says a house divided against itself cannot stand. When you build a foundation on shaky ground, it can crumble. And so it is this education stage that is critical because anything that develops during this stage that is not consistent with and congruent with your goals and where you want to go can come back and bite you and undermine you. So what's the challenge with the first stage of life? The challenge with the first stage of life is that somebody else is teaching you. That most of your education, your attitudes, your emotions, your thoughts, your habits, your relationships are taught to you by other people. As a young child, you really have very little input into how to think, what to feel, how to act, how to communicate and interact with other people. And so during this period, if it's positive, it's great. Your parents, the teachers, the authority figure, everybody in your space becomes a teacher, either actively or passively. We often say children don't do what you say, they do what you do. Absolutely. And so it is in this first stage of life that many times the early trauma. If you grew up in an environment of criticism, where your parents or the people who raised you, the family members close to you, in whose control you found yourself, if they were negative, if they were mean and treated you badly, you can internalize that and that becomes a part of the fiber of your being. As adults, we are often impacted by the trauma of those early years. The way people see us, the way we see ourselves. You know, children imitate what you do so profoundly. One of Sandra's relatives had polio. And many of you young people may not know, but polio was a muscular degeneration disease that atrophied the muscles. And so many times people couldn't walk. They used to have to use these strong metal braces so that they could walk. 30 years later, 40 years later, I see the same lady's daughter. And I said to Sandra, I said, wow, I was looking at the way she walked. And I said, I didn't know her daughter had polio also. Sandra said she didn't. But she walked exactly, even though she had no metal supports on her leg, she walked exactly as a person who had polio. Why? Because as a child, she saw the way her mother walked. And she learned to walk accordingly. As parents, we have to be so critically aware now that what our children see us do, what our children feel. You know, some of us were raised in households where people were always arguing. There was always discord. And as a young child, that first stage of life, you accept that as a reality. And so you perpetuate that as you grow up. In a life of criticism where parents telling you, boy, you can't do this, girl, you shouldn't do that. You ain't gonna ever be nothing. Your daddy was nothing. Your granddaddy was nothing. Nobody in your family has ever been anything. And so you develop a feeling of inadequacy, a sense of indecision, of fear, of success. a propensity to failure. So in this first stage of life, it's critical. Anybody who's in your space impacts you. And we know the stories of some of the trauma, some of the physical trauma that children go through. And for those listening today, if things aren't really working out the way you wanted them to work out in your life, it's a good idea to maybe go back to your childhood for a moment, just in your meditative space, to go back and think back of some of the thoughts that you developed in your childhood. Listen to some of the words, and many of the words and feelings that you experienced in your childhood are still rattling around in your head. Listen to some of them. Feel some of the emotions you felt as a child when people talked to you. Maybe it was an emotion. Maybe it was even a feeling of hunger. One of my friends I went to visit, and she had a refrigerator. It was so full you could not put a soda in there. So I said, "Wow, I thought you lived by yourself." She said, "I do." I said, "Well, why is your refrigerator so full?" She said, "As a child, I was always hungry." She said, "I don't remember a day as a child when I wasn't hungry." And she said, "I made a commitment to myself that I would never be hungry again." And her way of expressing that was to have and I'm talking a big refrigerator full of stuff. Stuff was spoiling. She couldn't eat all that stuff. But we have those little things inside of us that can literally eat us up from inside. JC does a lot of work. JC Myers down in Barbados does a lot of work with trauma and with some of the feelings of grief. JC, if you're on the line, if you're on the broadcast today, maybe you could add some insight. Let's see if you can join us if you're still with us. Because so many of us have felt the trauma and pain of youth. But when we can go back, we can fix it. Yes, JC, I'd love to get some commentary on you. Yes, let me see. Let me see how to do that. I'm gonna send a request. All right, here we go. JC has done such great work on overcoming grief. And I'd love to have you share with us from Barbados. Let's see, did I do it right? Okay, I'm here. I said join us. All right, come on. I think I did it right. I'm a technological genius. I have a photographic mind, but sometimes I run out of film. Let's see if I can. Let's see. Request. Okay. All right. Good. Yeah, I just did it. I'm learning how to do this stuff. Okay. I think I saw the request and I sent it. And I'm calling on you. I know I didn't tell you beforehand, but I so admire the work that you've done. Okay, it's unable to join. Okay. All right. I don't know why that is, but we tried. Let's just do it one more time. And see if you get an invite. There we go. Okay. Yes, dear. How are you today?
I am well. We're just here in the gym listening to your broadcast and working out.
Beautiful. Well, you've done such work in grief and this, and you have a son, and that idea of that first stage of life, the things that you have to do to help your children prosper and become good, and some of the traumas that you have to overcome from that first stage of life. Maybe you could just share a moment, your thoughts on that.
Yeah, for me, especially when you talk about the first stage of life and then segue into the power stage.
Yes.
It's so important when we start to unpack the things that people poured into us that didn't belong to us.
Now hold it right there. The things that people poured into us that didn't belong to us. You just sent chills through my body. Okay.
And so we have to be mindful that we have to let things overflow that do not serve us. And then when we get into our power season, allow things that overflow that serve us. And I think that's the difference in being able to address your traumas. Because every single one of us, and trauma is just something that happened to you that you didn't want happen to you, or something that you wish happened to you that didn't. So as a child growing up, like the same scenario you're talking about with the lady who did not have enough, so therefore she stays in trauma by making sure she has too much, right? And as children, we don't have enough. Like we'll see somebody with a toy, and we want that toy, and that's the stage of trauma. So you have people that go up in their power season, and instead of investing in land, investing in other people, they invest in cars and they invest in assets. That becomes a trauma that they've taken into their power season. So I think it's for people to connect the dots. When we get a certain age, we have to decide that what people poured over us or into us no longer serves us. It can pour through us, and then we can literally just take what we need to take. Drink from the fountain of wisdom. And I was telling Shane here, I love listening to you because it reinforces the principles of being successful in my life.
Yes.
Since 2017. So what you pour into me, Rich, you're just pouring from your overflow. And a lot of us are doing that. We're not intentionally doing the work for people. We're intentionally doing the work for ourselves, and other people are getting the things that we need. And when we don't deal with the trauma, that's what our partners get, that our children get it, our parents get it. You know, there's a lot of rise of elder abuse, and people are like, oh my gosh, you know, people treating the elderly really bad. I'm like, you ever considered why somebody who's in their 40s or 50s will in turn treat somebody else bad? It's because that's what's poured into them. They never had a new substance. They didn't drink water. They kept drinking the juice. They kept drinking the spirits. They didn't drink water. They didn't the life, you know. So for me, that's the biggest thing in that first stage of life. You know, you have to be aware. Even if you're not 25 and under, you need to always go back and look at what were you taught in your first stage of life between 0 to 25. Does it serve you and in your purpose, and is it aligned with your goals?
Woo! Thank you. Thank you so much. Wow. Ooh, thank you, JC. I just love it. All right, let me go back. You all have been blessed with a treasure. Thank you this morning. Let's see. Okay, maybe you can leave the broadcast. I'm not sure how to.
I'm going to try to figure out.
Let's see. Okay, we did it. All right, folks. Wow. Let me tell you something. That was great. Thank you so much. And for those of you on YouTube, I hope you could hear it through the microphone. Those on Instagram could really be a part of it. And J.C. Myers, Janelle, is one of the great, really, persons that deals with trauma and how to overcome it, and also a great personal trainer. So thank you so much for being with us, because this first stage of life can be a solid foundation on which to build your dreams, or it can be a shaky foundation for you to overcome to build your dreams. The operative word is, no matter what that foundation is, no matter what happened in the first stage of life, you still have the power to transform yourself, to look at the person you'd like to be, to feel the thoughts you'd like to feel, the emotions, the habits, the relationships, and you have the power to reconstruct your life irrespective of what happened in your early life, in that first stage of life. But the key is you must fix it. Because if you don't, anything that carries over from that first stage of life, that stage of trauma, that stage of pain, that stage of disappointment, when it feeds into your second stage of life, you become indulgent in drugs and sex and things that are not good for you. When it feeds into your third stage of life, instead of power, you doubt yourself, you're fearful, you're indecisive. And it feeds into your fourth stage of life, where you leave the legacy that is really the legacy of the trauma that you experienced in your first stage of life. This is Dr. Herbert Harris saying this is a different kind of broadcast today. I hope you please share this with at least 3 other people. and let them know that they have the power to overcome whatever negativity happened in that first stage of life and create the life of their dreams, that they can be what they want to be, that they can do what they want to do, and they can have whatever they want to have with absolutely no holds barred. They can have whatever they want to have, always knowing, my goodness, that the best is yet to come. Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. every morning, 8 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. Join us for Success Thoughts. And please share this broadcast with at least 3 other people so that they can know they have the power to do what they want to do, be who they want to be, and have whatever they want to have, and that their life, the good is on the way. The best is yet to come. Only success. Dr. Herbert Harrison, thank you so much for joining us. We'll sing it on out. Don't leave it up to the other man or to another day. Take your life into your hands. Make it work out your way. Come on, everybody. Come on, everyone. The time to love is here. Let these troubled days be done. I tell you, come on, everybody. Come on, everyone. The time to love is here. Let these troubled days be done. See you tomorrow.